Hello, thank you for joining us. This is Movie Grade. I am joined here with
Jay Anderson.
Victor.
Thank you for joining me, guys. Now, this weekend we had the opportunity to watch Inside Out 2, the sequel to Inside Out 1. It is a family comedy movie, animated feature, if you guys didn't watch the trailer. Now, we're here to decide whether you guys should watch the movie and whether or not it's a good or bad movie and give it a final grade. Alright guys, so if you guys didn't know, it is a comedy. And personally, I enjoyed as much of the comedy, but I also enjoyed the dramatic aspects of the movie. I'm here to ask my guests, what do they think? Guys, what did you think about the comedy and the drama?
Oh, well, I mean, the comedy was solid. I love the comedy. There was this absolutely ridiculous action scene. The comedy was there. The drama was there. I mean, Pixar usually has a good blend of both and knows how to do it. So, I mean, all around, well-balanced movie as far as comedy, action. The themes of it are clearly displayed right there.
It's Pixar. Pixar knows how to balance the line of comedy and drama, where it was a great example for a first-time filmmaker, Kelsey Mann, who had worked a long time for Pixar for various projects, whether story supervision or other little things behind the scenes. You know, just he did an excellent job at portraying and offering an opportunity to show kind of like an insight, maybe like young teenage mind.
Yeah, I mean, piggyback off on what you were saying, it was a brilliant depiction of the everyday core emotions we go through, and without giving too much away, the child's now developing, so puberty is now being installed, and we have new sets of emotions that try to take priority at that time of our lives. And it was brilliantly portrayed, brilliantly done. And of course, Pixar has, it's been a while, honestly, since they've done anything like this good. And I feel like they finally got their step back.
They definitely found their groove with what works with most audiences without going too far in one direction or another, whether or not it's, based upon the story. Mm-hmm. Some stories have kind of tiered into, this is a new thing that society has or presents, and they want to present that, versus, this is just a classic story of, insert any kind of thing that's been done before, whether it's, people adjusting to change, like Toy Story, where it's, it's one insecure toy adjusting to the new It toy.
As it goes forward with the spectrum of emotion, if you didn't get a chance to see the first movie, one of the things that I noticed is the first one really has a good representation of depression, and this one brought out a new emotion, and it in society's terms, that was one of the things you guys are mentioning, like the today everything that's going on. This one really was poking some buttons for a lot of people, I imagine, and in a good way, because it's something to be aware of. And it gave me plenty of memorable moments too while I was watching the movie, because I could relate, especially to the main character. Seeing what she's going through this story really, really hit home to me on a personal level. So to me, I really, really connected with the protagonist in the story. How did you guys connect with the protagonist or any of the characters in the story?
Oh, it's interesting you bring it up that you related to the main girl. I like how you referred to her as the protagonist. She is one of the main characters of the story, the main vessel, if you will. But the reason I like Inside Out, first one, and this one is because they use one of my favorite type of writing techniques, and that's called like the border structure. Riley and all the information that's going on with her friends and stuff that's going on the outside. The main character is Joy, and for me, in the first movie, Joy had to learn a valuable lesson. She was repressing her depression. Spoiler alert for the first movie, by the way. Anyone who hasn't seen it, my bad. But she had a hard time accepting depression as a core emotion. She felt like joy needed to be the only thing that dictated Riley's life, because she was a little girl and joy made her happy. So she had to learn how to accept the rest of her coworkers to become a complete Riley. In this movie, if she needs to make a complete Riley, she has to teach anxiety the same lesson she learned. But at the same time, she also learned the lesson that these memories that we throw in the back of our mind that we try not to think about, that's a part of us too. You can't just pick and choose certain memories and certain core beliefs and that's who you are. No, we're We're everything, good and bad. So here's anxiety learning Joy's lesson from the first movie, but Joy continuing to grow to learn it's not just my emotions that I gotta like be one with. I gotta keep in charge of everything too, including the bad memories. You know, so I really enjoyed that a lot.
Honestly, I hadn't seen the first Inside Out, so it's okay. I'm kind of caught up now. But seeing this, I didn't feel lost. Might be a little bit, not saying it'd be complex for a child to understand it, because the characters are fairly designed to be like, oh, they have a Muppet like essential aesthetic to them, which is interesting, which is really fun, especially anxiety, which felt like something I've seen in a Muppet, like a Jim Henson Muppet movie.
I believe that there's a reason to that. And hear me out. I believe that the reason they look like Muppet-like and have their like little Muppet features is because it gives you a sense of softness and feeling. So at the end of the day, you're supposed to feel these characters.
I feel they have almost an aura around them, because there's a certain scene, not to give anything really away, there's a certain scene where the movie where one of the characters has an aura where Riley's more drawn to them, or vice versa. They're drawn to each other to sort of come together at that point in time.
I completely agree with you guys on the story on that part. Thinking about the plot. You already pointed out a lot of key elements having to do with Joy being the main character. I was thinking Riley's the main character, but you're absolutely right. It is Joy. Going forward, one of the things that we like talking about is a character driving the story, and I know that's one of those key elements for you, Jay, in particular. And you looked at a lot of the classic elements and everything. You guys pointed out the Jim Henson thing, and I it didn't click until you guys said it, to be honest with you. And now I think about it, and it's like, oh, great, now I got to watch Sesame Street.
Those side characters do definitely add something to it, where they help to guide the character. Maybe they don't see something. Just times where I can tell Joy overlooks other aspects of, I guess, the human emotional range, where she needs to necessarily try to understand that maybe anger can help her, maybe sadness can provide an insight, so it's not just joy alone. And that's where I think a lot of the lesson is in the movie, which helps out, that it's through understanding everything together, through we kind of like find a solution to our problems.
And I guess that's one of the things I wanted to say. Like in the plot, to me, obviously it's a coming of age story for a girl, but also one of the things that I'm noticing too is a lot of character growth, not just for Riley, but also for all the emotions. So, and you basically pointed all that out, Jay. And yeah, there's a lot of character growth. I guess the only other thing I can think about it furthering the plot would probably be Riley's relationships. One of those things that you consider as you're watching the story is Riley's relationships with her friends, her family, and again, this is a coming of age thing, and she's moving forward in life, and it's one of those things where you start realizing, wait a minute, it's also a paradigm shift for her, and it's an adjustment, and when not a lot of people adjust to a shifting paradigm very easily. So I think that's, to me, I think that was one of the memorable moments, is all of a sudden her paradigm is shifting dramatically, and she has to deal with that. She has to adjust to all of that. So to me, I think that was one of the biggest memorable moments, is her paradigm shifting drastically at least a couple of times in the story. What about you guys? Did you guys have any memorable moments?
Oh, that's tons of them, honestly. Like this movie was actually full of them. I love. I saw the first one. So when they're deep in the crevices of the mind, you get a lot of callbacks from like the first movie, but everything changes a little bit. They go into, for instance, like the realm of imagination. Joy's excited. This is where she met the imaginary friend. This is where she met all these childlike inventions, and then we see a Mount Rushmore of all her crushes, and she's like, I don't remember that being there. It's because Riley's growing up, so of course she would have a Mount Rushmore of crushes. That's hilarious.
Honestly, there's several memorable moments. I especially remember those moments where she has to make a choice, and there's what's going on in her head, and there's what's going on in front of her, and she's constantly, it's the constant balance and almost like battle between if you do this versus you do that. And you have one character going, well, I have a plan, and if this doesn't go like this, it goes like that. And it builds up this, it builds up the tension where it's like she has a limited time to make a choice.
You know, one of the things too, that I remember immediately after we got out of the movie was, I think you Victor, you mentioned how they actually did research for this movie.
The original director, I want to say Peter Doctor. His name's spelled like doctor, but isn't quite like that. But he said that he went to neurologists because the behind the scenes production development of the movie was one of the producers had looked at their own child as they developed, and so they had studied neurologists to study, I guess, how the level of emotions, how it affects young people or young children.
That's fantastic. So in other words, I guess that's where my next question comes through, because to me, this, even though it's an animated feature, I felt for this character, I felt such, like it cut deep. It's one of those where I connected with it, and the realism, even though it's an animated feature, this felt real to me. This was something that I thought of, that I was going through, and like as Riley's going through it, and now that you mentioned Joy, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm considering, oh wow, that might have happened to me. I feel like it did happen to me. So I felt this was very realistic, very realistic. Did you guys feel the same?
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. I can't praise the movie enough for its depiction of these emotions, because it's not just represented well, but it's very realistic. It felt so plausible and so realistic. This movie, if anything, makes you feel, and there's just, I can't tell you it's gonna make you feel this way or that. It's not gonna make you feel. It's just gonna make you feel, guys. It's gonna hit you here, and to me, that felt real. That was real. Its depictions and everything. Yeah, it was very real to me. Really good.
Well, because everyone goes through doubts, fears, many different emotions through the day. And after, we have to kind of balance each one out, because if we focus too much on one, then one overwhelms us, and we don't know how to. We have to deal with those issues on a daily basis to balance out how we feel, how we know in the back of our head those lingering like feelings where we can be upset at work, we can be upset at something at home, and how we have to try to work our way through it without acting like, in a way, like, overacting of anger.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, I think some parents will understand especially how there's a scene where she talks back to her mom, and her mom's just like, oh, she's going through this now. And it's really excellent example of that, where you kind of see a parent's perspective. So I won't say any too many spoilers, but
just let them out.
No, that's good.
All right, guys. So one of the beautiful elements and stuff like that we mentioned was, you really didn't have to see Inside Out Part 1 in order to get Part 2. So with that said, do you think watching Part 1 would be an enhancement or completely unnecessary? How did you guys feel about that?
I mean, there was callbacks to the first movie, but I honestly feel like it could have stood on its own. Victor, being the one that never saw it, he would actually be able to answer this question honestly.
I feel it stands on its own. There's some elements where some characters, I guess, have appearances, and I'm not sure that's a thing that goes back to the first movie, or it's just something new. Like there's a video game character that just shows up, and I'm not sure is that a part. Is it a part 2 or part 1?
No, that's a part 2 thing. That's a whole new.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was like a famous YouTuber, Young. Yeah, he's this guy who's trying to break into like voice acting.
Oh wow.
Okay, so I'm gonna piggyback off of both of y'all, and I have to agree. I don't think you really have to see Part 1 in order to enjoy Part 2, but it would be just an enhancement piece at that point. So you can enjoy both. All right. Now, guys, this is movie grade. One of the things that we're looking at is basically grading this movie. Now, for our viewers, if you haven't been here before, we don't do a 10-point scale. We don't do a 10-star scale. We do it based on an A+ to F-. F- is bombing over bombing. So you guys know which movies those are. With that said, I'm going to ask my guests the grade.
This is those rare moments. I'm actually giving this movie an A, not an A+. You know, I still have to earn my love, but my God, I did fall in love with this movie. It's beautifully written, very well paced. Characters are there. It's just all around fun, man. I'd watch it again. A.
I would give it an A as well, not to piggyback. It's just more. I enjoyed it. I feel I can have it on to watch, like where I'm sitting down just to watch it, or I could have it in the background. And I imagine a lot of parents would have it in the background too, as well. So especially as more like a family film, so you're trying to achieve like the maximum audience of reach. And I think it works for both kids, families. It's a very classic Disney type feel where you can go in and you can enjoy it. If you want to look deeper, you find something deeper there. A good movie should have layers, and this one has layers.
All right, thank you for your grades, guys, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna have to, not trying to piggyback, but I honestly agree that it also gets an A. The emotional content, it made me cry.
My God, yes.
It made me cry. It made me laugh. It gave me a little bit of flashbacks. Trigger warning, yes, I got triggered a little bit just because of the portion, some of the emotional portions that the well, not protagonist, but that Riley was going through. And of course, it does go very deep, like you said, layers, joy, all the other emotions that are included, all the characters there, they all had a light to shine, and they all had a purpose, and they all did something that overall won me over. So I'm going to have to give it an A as well. And that overall means this movie gets an A. So,
All right.
And like first A for us, guys. Bravo.
Bravo.
All right. So if you guys get the opportunity, please go out and watch Inside Out 2. Doesn't matter if you're an adult. Doesn't matter if you're a child. Although I don't believe children should be alone in the movie theater. But it is a great movie. That we all stand by it, and we stand by our grade. All right. Well, thank you again, guys, for joining me. Once again, this is Movie Grade. Please follow us on all social media. We are on YouTube. Please smash that subscribe, that like button, and share it. Let your friends and family know. Also, please, in the comment section, let us know if there was a movie that you guys wanted us to watch or want us to watch. And, should we... what did you guys think of our grade? What did you guys, are there any comments, concerns? Once again, I am your host, J.R.Alva, voice actor. I was joined here with...
I'm Jay Anderson, manager representative of Thrash from PWL, and of course a commentator at PWL, Pro Wrestling Legacy, Texas. We can find us on YouTube or any social media.
I'm Victor. I'm a writer for Modern Myth Comics. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again for watching. Once again, this is Movie Grade. Hope you guys enjoyed the show.